everybody. Welcome to the show. If you're an entrepreneur, influencer, or a small business owner, this is the show to actually watch. Today, we're going to be talking all about how to invest in your actual greatest asset, which is your staff. So it's a proven fact that staff members perform much better when you show them how valued they are. But investing in the staff members' future goes way above and beyond the bottom line. So welcome to the show today, everybody. Looking forward to connecting with you. All right, so in today's show, we're going to be interviewing Stefano Valenti. I beg your pardon. My tongue got the better of me this morning somehow. And he is from FedGroup. And as you know, this is the investment series that is powered by FedGroup. We're going to be talking about nurturing life. And this is one of the aspects that I think that as a small business owner or an entrepreneur or an influencer, as you're growing and building your business, it is so important for you to understand what and how important it is to actually invest in your staff. After all, your staff are the people that are the front line to your business. And as many of you will know, happy staff often will result in happy profits as well. So we're going to actually talk to Steph this morning. A warm welcome to you, Steph, and thanks for joining the show.
Hi, Lucille. Thanks for having me.
Oh, only a pleasure. It's so good to have the team at FedGroup really come on and be real and show a little bit of what you do on a daily basis. Not only that, it's also show us some of your methods and strategies that you use internally in the actual group. So yes, I'm excited about today. Are you ready?
Off you go.
Okay, fantastic. So Steph, you and I were chatting a little bit before the actual show started, and one of the prime things that have come through as we were discussing is that you very much that people's person. Not only that, you can identify strong individuals or teams within the FedGroup arena. So talk to us a little bit about your background and what you actually do at FedGroup, please.
Well, my background is I'm a serial entrepreneur, largely failed, and that's, I think, how I've learned. But I started formally in finance, and then at a big automotive company. And really, what we were doing is we were buying back the whole continent for that company. And in doing that, we were taking over full country distributions. And we were looking then at rejigging those businesses top to end and top to tail, and finding all the best people, moving them around, and then buying back that whole country. And from there, I went into Africa for a while, again taking SMEs and largely selling them into big corporates, and then trying to integrate them back into those corporations. So a tough job, but always trying to fix and help and grow businesses, but largely with a focus on the teams they had or bringing in new teams.
Okay. All right. So you've been in the forefront of actually delivering top-notch people and identifying their talents and then bringing that through, which is phenomenal. I mean, a guy like you can obviously easily see where people have strengths in leadership or strengths in teamwork and that type of thing as well, Steph.
Yeah, so I'm always the dumbest guy in the room, and that's the plan. But really, what we learned, there was an interview question that they always used to have at this company, and they always used to ask us, what do we do here? So what business are we in? And everyone said, obviously we make motor cars, and people try to get smart. This company actually does that. The holding company has some plan, and the answer was always really, it's about people. This business is about people, and every business is about people. And I think FedGroup really lives that in everything they do. FedGroup is about people, about their customers, about their staff. So really at FedGroup, I'm the GM, and I assist Grant in the CEO's office, and I'm non-technical or non-financial services. So Grant handles all the heavy lifting, and I try and handle the business as usual. But the last 2 years has been all around mobilizing these new teams, getting really agile, understanding our customers, understanding where we need to be, and pushing the right people into the right places with the right tools. And it's been an adventure.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds very interesting, especially your experience as an entrepreneur yourself. Because I know, being an entrepreneur myself, it actually taps into everything. It's that physical, it's the mental stability, it's all of that, as well as your emotional side as well that you bring into the table, because you've got to put on all of these different hats. So I absolutely admire that. Thank you. All right, Eddie, warm welcome to the show. I do see that we've got a couple of people on. It was such a pleasure for you to be here and hang out with us today. Today I'm talking to Steph, and we're going to be talking about nurturing life, especially when it comes to how to treat your staff, how to invest in them, how to identify those staff members that are above and beyond. And not only that, is then how to invest in their own lifestyles so that they also can prosper when it comes to living a life of value, of purpose, of passion. So, Steph, I'm going to ask you the very first question, was would you start how to actually start treating them. Oh, before I actually begin, please, if you have any comments or you're wanting to ask a question during the show, just pop a comment down below in the comment section, and I promise we'll get to those questions and we'll answer during the show. If we can't, we will direct you as to where to go to actually find answers for you. So yeah, get on board, be a part of the show. It's all interactive. We'd love to have you there. All right, so here's the first question, Steph, with regards to it. So why is it employee well-being so important, and why should business owners invest in their staff?
So I mean, well-being is very broad, but really I think it goes back to that old interview question as to what do we do. And FedGroup is financial services. Traditionally, it's groundbreaking, it's bleeding edge in terms of technology, but really at the end of the day, we're about people, and we're about our own staff, our own people, and our customers. And I think we spent a lot of time during COVID understanding what businesses were going to thrive through this difficult time. And really, looking around, we saw that the businesses that were making ground were those that took a very, very laser focus on their customers, as well as their staff. And they quietened the noise down around with everything else, and they just took a targeted approach to making sure that their customers were happy and their staff were happy. And I was having a chat to one of our creative solutions consultants, and he articulated well. He said it used to be, the formula used to be CX equals ROI, so a good customer experience equals a good return on your investment. And really, it's changed now. Now it's CX plus EX equals a good ROI. So we have to have that employee focus to return a good profit in our business. And really, I think that's just been drummed into our leadership teams, into our managers, and into everyone that we want to make sure our staff are put first, and our customer experience is a very, very, very close second.
Don't you find there is this close relationship that tends to happen? Because especially if you've got happy staff, they go over and above what value you currently offer, and they bring their own value towards and passion towards servicing your customers as well. So it becomes that kind of symbiotic relationship. How do you find that with internal teams? I mean, do you have teams and your staff that are very happy and they absolutely put everything out there for you? Does that happen within FedGroup?
Absolutely. It happens all the time. But we see it a lot, in fact, from the leadership that's given. So when the task is clear, and the teams can come together and work collaboratively in these cross-functional teams. And we're really trying to build those teams. And they understand what success is. They've got a nice tight deadline. They're taught the correct methodologies. We see harder work than ever, and we see happy teams. And we try and do that now. We're trying to break guys out of their kind of day job thinking, their job title, and we're saying, who are the best people for this particular solution. Let's wrap them into a group and let them solve. And we see happy people, we see happy managers because we're getting great results, and of course our customer service then is through the roof, and our experience is fantastic.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so this is really making sense. Okay, let's acknowledge some of our audience members. I see that Haley is also a serial entrepreneur. She's in the fashion industry. Warm welcome to Haley. Thanks for hanging out with us. Quick check-in. I see that you also are busy. I know that you've got tons of different orders. But if we're talking to someone in this particular sector, especially when it comes to manufacturing, creating your own line within the fashion industry, what kind of advice would you give her, an entrepreneur? What should she focus in when it comes to looking after her staff members?
I think it's all around training and methods. And I think that's often lost. So we spend a lot of time trying to understand the problem our customers have and trying to solve it. We don't often spend enough time training our staff on the correct methodologies to solve these problems internally. So what does it look like to solve a problem? Failure is a very big part of the solution. I think that has been lost. Our culture is very much one where we taught in school that failure means you don't go the next year. And really we want to teach our staff that failure and multiple failures, that iterative approach to corrective solutions is ultimately what they should be rewarded for, which keeps them happy, keeps them trying and delivering. And if your staff are delivering on short iterations, then our output's high and our customers are happy. And I think that's what we want to be chasing all the time.
Okay, phenomenal. That's great advice. Thank you, Steph. That's awesome. All right, you are watching Drive Your Business live stream today with myself, Lucille Devine. My guest this morning is Steph, and he forms part of the executive committee within FedGroup. And today he's talking about how to actually start investing in your staff and why that's so important, because it not only drives that happiness and well-being within your team, but it also starts to drive outcomes, your performance with regards to how they treat customers as well. So as you can see, it has a tandem effect with regards to how you treat your staff, which is a phenomenal thing. If you do have a question or a comment, just pop that down below in the comment section. We will get to any questions that you pose through to us. Again, it is an interactive show. So yes, we'd love you to be a part of the audience. Then Steph, this is very interesting. And some of the things that you're bringing up with regards to the experience and your internal teams, I'd like you to talk a little bit around. I know that I've had Stefan Vanikak on board, and she has built a gamification sort of app that most people or all of your team at FedGroup is actually using. Can you talk to us about how important that type of data is connected to what you do at FedGroup right now?
Yeah, certainly. So Steph is spectacular in terms of finding gems. Steph is very special, and we've got way too many Stephs and Steves, and so it's chaos at FedGroup. But Grant is so big. Our CEO Grant is so big on predictable measurement, and really at FedGroup we are measuring everything live or in 15-minute delays, and we believe the old kind of adage, if you can measure it, you can manage it. So really, from the temperature in our buildings to the air quality, everything imaginable is being measured, externally, as well as obviously the systems that everyone's working on. The managers are inputting live data into their deliverables and their team's deliverables. We've got dashboards all around the office, team specific, as well as kind of manager boards that show broader data. And we've got this massive game that I'm sure Steph spoke to you about, which is a kind of a Minecraft game that shows every individual staff member in their respective roles, and everything about that game is showing us what's happening in the company. And there's no doubt that having a look up at a board and seeing your team's score at 50 or 60% and teams around you at 100% is a motivator. People are competitive, and gamification is certainly, I think, a way, or a primary way to drive our competitive spirit. And really, we see teams performing when they are recognized as a group, and they can deliver as a group, but also inside that group they can individually be recognized and achieve. It's like the CrossFit. Why is CrossFit so fantastic? Well, the behavioral psychology behind CrossFit is you get together, you're a group, you're looking after each other, you're cheering each other on, but at the same time you can shoot the lights out and be recognized as an individual winner. And I think that's the gamification that we've built, where we are not using it as a stick in any way. It's very, very much a motivating tool to go, your team's doing fantastically, go and drive a cool car for a week, or eat as many sweets as you want because we've got a vending machine that opens if we achieve a target. So it's a really nice, productive, creative way to get our teams motivated, as well as our customers when they walk around. FedGroup really has kind of opened up their kimono to say, this is what we're doing. You can see our stats are up on the board for everyone to see. We're not dropping calls, or we are dropping calls. We're hitting our SLAs, or we might have missed them. So it's a very transparent way for us as a business to drive hard, show our failures if they are, but also show our achievements and get our teams aligned and moving together.
Okay, phenomenal. All right, you've spoken about two main elements there, which brings me to my next question. One that you mentioned is that incentive side of it, and rewarding good behavior, because again, that psychology that goes with it is, once I'm rewarded, I'm acknowledged, recognized, I belong. And the other aspect to that is that you've also created an environment of transparency. So whether you actually are failing or whether you are succeeding, in both circumstances, you're being recognized, which I think is phenomenal. So what would you say with regards to small business owners or entrepreneurs or even influencers? How should they invest in boosting employee well-being within their businesses?
Well, I think, like everyone, fundamentals must be looked after. So there's basics around, the health of yourself and your family. There's kind of the traditional check boxes, major life events, illness, disability, death, retirement, medical insurance. So those are all the basics. Those have to be covered. I'm not doing a pitch, but obviously FedGroup covers those, and we make sure that our team and our staff are looked after just with the fundamentals. But then I think it goes further, certainly around financial education. People, we think, understand what they should be doing with their money, and largely they don't. And that's every tier and every layer of your staff. People need to be given a hand in terms of what they should be doing with their money, if they have any spare or if they don't. And then I think we have to look at things outside the box, especially in our new environment. Connectivity. Are people connected? We're working at home now, largely. Are their families able to connect to the internet? Can they work? Is their work environment at home? Is it something that's stable? Is it something that's conducive to output and to work? And I think we have to then go beyond. We have to encourage good habits. We have to encourage sleep. Sleep has been lost. People think it's brave to say, I worked 18 hours and I hardly slept, and that's just a no-no. We need to look after our staff, make sure they are sleeping, get a good night's rest, very, very important. That's what drives performance, both physical and mental. So I think it's a very holistic approach to looking after your staff as you would your kids. You want your kids to do well at school, but you want them to be healthy and to be well and to eat properly and to sleep and to exercise. And so we have to try and open up as many of those, if we can, inside our business, or encourage them to do it externally. And then I think largely now mental wellness is so important. People are stressed. It's been a difficult year. It's been a very confusing year. People's safety and security has been taken away, which is just a basic need. And I think we need to make sure that as leaders, our doors are open, our internet connections are always available for them, for us to chat. We need to also drive that communication. We can't just wait for them to come to us. We need to make sure that we checking in on our teams all the time. If we're not seeing them in person, we make sure we're dialing in and we're having a chat to them. We're just shooting the breeze. What's going on? Any dramas? How's the family? So I think those things are really, really important. And then to have a professional mental wellness person available for them to talk to if there's something that's more serious. So we try to look holistically at our team members as if they were our families.
Okay. Wow, that's quite phenomenal. As you're going through everything, I'm just making some notes. Again, just to share with the audience, it's so important. I love the fact that FedGroup has stepped up in this realm and is not only service internal teams in this type of way, but you've actually extended it into their family environment. So let's just go over some of the points here. Is one of the major things is have those fundamentals in place. And especially if you're a business owner and you have a team, it's so important that you understand that their health, their well-being, their medical, all of the kinds of insurance, and all of that is actually taken care of. The fundamentals need to be covered for staff in order for them to perform. Because remember, and I'm sure Steph will agree with me here, if you have a worried staff member who can't perhaps take their daughter to the dentist because they're not covered, at the end of the day, it becomes part of their stress factor and they won't perform for you at the end of the day. So I love the fact that you're saying let's cover that. Basic fundamentals when it comes to staff is essential. The other things that you mentioned was good habits. And that's whether it's emotional, mental, health-wise, all of that is part of that well-being. And also that you mentioned that FedGroup extends himself again into the family, into your environment, and how your staff members are actually engaging and interacting during this time. The fact that you've also then said that connectivity to the internet is vital. An office space, or being able to go to a normal kind of office space for them to actually work at, I think is essential. So again, some wonderful tips here from Steph from FedGroup, who has actually shared a lot of the pros and how to actually look after your staff, especially during this lockdown period as well. I mean, a lot of us have had to carry on and be kind of normal and do normal business activities from home. So that's very, very essential. The thing is driving communication, which I think is so important. Steph, I love the fact that at FedGroup that you're checking in with the staff. So whether it's the gamification, that app that you're using and reading that data, and you're picking up that there might be a problem there, but also that you have that personal approach with your staff. I think that's one of the key factors here. And that's what's setting FedGroup apart right now. I think that's why a lot of people as customers are taking note with regards to how FedGroup is actually handling this space right now during this pandemic as well. Okie dokies. All right, if you are part of the audience, I do see that we've got a couple of new people watching. A warm welcome to you. You are watching Drive Your Business live stream with myself, Lucille Divine. My guest this morning is Steph. He forms part of the Exco at FedGroup. And today we're really just delving in how to actually look after your staff members, your team members. And we're looking at the methodology, strategies, and formulas that FedGroup are already employing in their business. There's some really awesome tips that we've already discussed. If you want to be a part of the audience, please pop us a message down below. Even if you just want to say hi for us to acknowledge you, you know that I love doing that as well. So just say hi down in the comments below. All right, Steph, let's move on to the next question. And yeah, I think that it is so important for us to have a real look at this. And, you know, not only as an entrepreneur and business owners, but even big business can actually take a leaf from your chapters that you're busy writing within FedGroup. So I think this is a wonderful subject that we can really, really delve into. So tell me, how do we as business owners get our teams involved in understanding the work culture that we've created? There's obviously values, various values that we're wanting to put into play, vision. How do you set your team, and how do they understand where it is that you want to go as FedGroup, as the group?
So culture is a tough one because it's so multi-layered, and really, you know, culture needs to filter down from the top, but it needs to be lived and it needs to be owned by everyone in that, you know, in the business. And really, what we've done is we've seen culture as something that we train. I've spoken about methodology before. If people understand how they need to do things, what are the methods, then that becomes the culture. So what we've done at FedGroup now is we working with something called OKRs, Objective Key Result, which is kind of like a goal setting mechanism. You know, people use KPIs, whatever it might be. We're using OKRs, which is really a stretched objective, and then key results and deliverables by our teams to hit those results. And they're normally quite short, you know, 3 months at a time. But we want to stretch our teams, and you know, and I think that's, you know, that talks to culture in terms of having a go at something bigger, not being satisfied with the status quo. We want to be challenger in everything we do, so that challenger brand comes through, and that we are trying to break the mold. We're not trying to be that same old institution. And then we try and train our teams how to get there. So we're saying we've got a sprint. You know, it's a week or 2 or 3, and how do we as a team own this and deliver it, so that ownership and that deliverable becomes a very, very much a part of our culture. People are accountable for things, not because someone's wielding a stick, but because their team has, as a peer group, are monitoring and almost corralling each other to a finish line. And I spoke earlier about failure, and how we're really trying to encourage these short iterative failures, and helping our teams understand that a solution or an end result comes after 10 failures. So we fail, we iterate 10 times, and on the 10th we get a result. And I want to see 10 versions of this thing. So vomit out the first version, rough, I don't care what it looks like, give us something. Let our teams look at it, and let's go for our second iteration. And that pursuit of this continual improvement, iteratively, failure after failure, is what drives us forward. And that's the culture we are trying to drive, one where people are owning as a team, owning as an individual. They're accountable, they're not scared to fail, and they're moving forward, and they're delivering. So we want guys to take things over the finish line. 80% is a fail, but a bad fail. We want people to finish, and to be wrong is fine, but finish and try again. So that's that culture we're trying to drive at FedGroup, and OKR has been a lovely vehicle for us.
Okay, that's phenomenal. Again, just reiterating what you have to say there, that 80% is the fail, and it doesn't matter how many times you approach it, because each time you'll approach with a concept of learning from the past failure, and that you have this ability to actually have up to 10 times of failure before you actually then really can gain and have that result, or that positive result, or the success result, is phenomenal. So I love the way that you are actually laying that down. All right, we've got a question here. I'm going to pop it onto the screen quickly there, Steph. Let's see if we can answer it. All right, Annika, a warm welcome to you. Thanks for joining. She says, yeah, hi, Stephanie Seal. I thought I'd been listening to Steph about people. Okay, thank you. Okay, so it's not a question. My pleasure, Annika. Thanks for joining the show. Yes, I think really today, especially in today's environment, the new norm, Steph is really has got a formula and a strategy that implemented into FedGroup that is really working well. It's actually, you can see it, from the moment, even when you are integrating and you are going through to their website and you're asking questions, you get a response. And I love the fact that, like you've said, is that it's all about delivering excellence. So it's internal excellence as well as external excellence. And the fact that you are willing to learn and acknowledge that you can fail during the process, you re-implementing something that is going to work for the future, I think is phenomenal. So thanks, Annika. Thanks for your comment there. Much appreciated. All right, so Steph, this is something now that we had a chat about, but let's go into this in more depth. I've got another question for you, and this is all around incentives. We spoke a bit about culture within FedGroup and how you're rolling that out. Not only that you are using your gamification, but how you personalize this and you actually are connecting with your staff members. But then also, when we talk about incentives, you mentioned earlier that, if somebody does in the team, if they do well, they get individual incentives. But can you tell us a little bit more on how business owners can put this particular reward system and incentives into play within their own business? What would your suggestion be?
So incentives are contentious at the best of times. It's a slippery slope, and I think we need to be very careful around incentives. So financial incentives are fantastic, and there's a place for them, but we've got to be very careful that we don't start to incentivize the wrong behavior. Very often we have teams chasing quite a narrow incentive, and things get lost along the way. And then when you ask them, what happened to that particular thing, they're like, well, I wasn't incentivized for that. I was chasing that. So we need to be very careful. I think the first thing to do is we need to build this belief system in our teams. They need to understand why we are doing things. And again, drive the methodologies. We need commitment from teams and from individuals. And I think although money certainly does drive people, there are much better ways to get performance than financial incentives. I think people who are challenged will succeed. And if they succeed, they'll certainly feel a sense of motivation and a sense of fulfillment. So we are certainly looking at incentives that build wealth for people. Unfortunately, people spend what money they're given. All of us do. So if someone's earning a big salary and someone's earning a small salary, at the end of the month, most of us have spent it. And the challenge with cash type incentives is they just get spent. So I think if we're looking at an incentive structure, a wealth creation structure, something that's a bit more fixed, perhaps can't just be burnt out over Christmas, is probably a better idea. And as I said, we want to sometimes reward things that don't seem obvious. So failure we spoke about. So important to reward the methodology of a delivery, and delivery means failure. And failure needs to iterate for a result. I think another big incentive is people who are growing feel incentivized to keep on moving forward. So that can be as simple as offering study loans or encouraging people to study and to grow. And I think something that is certainly worth mentioning is this safety kind of method where we say, people, if you can make your teams feel safe, then you can push them out of their comfort zone. And people will grow when they're out of their comfort zone. So you've got to put them in situations where they are uncomfortable once they trust you enough and feel safe enough to move into that space. When they've been uncomfortable, they'll certainly grow. That growth will then build trust, and that cycle perpetuates. And we want to incentivize with growth. We want to say to people, the more you learn, the better you become, the more you grow, the better opportunities for you in the future, inside of FedGroup or elsewhere. And you want to incentivize around human beings becoming better, as opposed to just focusing on a cash reward, because people will bounce around for cash rewards. They'll move, they'll find a better incentive somewhere else. So really it ties back to culture, and we want to build the right culture, be incentivized for doing the right things, for being better, for growing, for continuous improvement, for customer service, for working with our teams, for delivery, and ultimately then build wealth. And that can be wealth through education, through our families succeeding and growing. There's many, many metrics for that.
Okay, fantastic. All right, you've mentioned quite a few there. I just want to tap onto this and ask you another question with regard to this. Don't you find that people who are only there for the money incentive are the ones that normally will move on very quickly? Because if they're only there for the money, at the end of the day, they don't have a reason to jump into that passion or to pursue, to actually steer themselves and navigate themselves into achieving higher. Because the money is what they're after. Your thoughts on that, Steph?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think in a company that has the right culture, and FedGroup certainly has, where it's a family-owned business. It's all about the people. It's about delivering for your teams. The people who are there just for the cash get weeded out quite quickly. Those guys don't hang around. It isn't the right environment. Yeah. It isn't a cutthroat type environment where we're stepping on others to move up, to earn our incentives. Talking about people will find, or the wrong people will find a way to abuse an incentive scheme, especially when it's a cash type incentive. And we just want to steer miles and miles away from that. So we take a lot of time when we're choosing staff. We want them to have a culture fit, rather than be, the absolute best academically or technically. And we want those guys to stay, and they're incentivized because it's just a fantastic place to be, and they're growing, not for the cash. The guys who come for the cash, as you say, are in and out.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right, we've got a comment here from Annika. Let's just put it up on the screen there so you can see that, Steph. So, as a FedGroup employee, I have seen firsthand the positive impact that our executives' hands-on approach has on staff. How do you get people to buy into the corporate culture and reach out if necessary when they are a bit shy or withdrawn? Oh, beautiful question. Thanks, Annika. What would you suggest there when it comes to that, Steph?
I think Annika might be trapping me here. But
it feels like it. She's one of the shy, withdrawn ones.
Live. So I think what's so important is I'm not a big email person. I don't like sitting behind a computer. I don't like online Zooms. I don't like sitting behind your desk. I don't like desks. So I'm all about picking up your diary, and I've told Annika this, and walk around. So, when there's a gap, get up and walk around that building. Join other meetings, even if you just quietly, we do stand-ups every morning across departments. Go and stand in someone else's, in another team stand-up. Take a coffee and go and chat to someone in a different team. Let people see you, let them know who you are, let them know that you want to help, that you want to be involved. And FedGroup's the kind of place, and I think most places are, where I think most companies, if you want to take something, they're happy to give it to you, because everyone's overloaded. So the more you can walk around, the more people can see you, the more you can understand what's happening broadly. And we encourage that a lot, is to always understand, the kind of the breadth of what's happening, not just your division or your department, but why are we doing things? What's happening outside. So the encouragement for me is always to pick up your diary and walk, and offer a hand, offer to help out, understand what other departments are doing, understand where they're stuck, and try and pull them together. In fact, Steph, the game designer, has been fantastic at that. So we actually asked Steph to pop into our distribution team and understand, where the gaps were, because we had a slight misalignment between our marketing team and our distribution team. And Steph went and stood where they were stuck, and she just facilitated the right people talking to each other. So even if you can't solve, that's such a valuable skill where you can understand a problem, articulate it to someone else, and tie the right people, synergize those people together. I think that's a fantastic way to get the most out of your workday, and grow as a human, and as an employee. I don't know if I answered on it.
I love that, Steph, because also, absolutely. I think it did answer. Annika, let us know that that Steph actually answered your question correctly there. Just pop a comment below. But one of the other key factors that I'm wanting to say is I love that advice that you're saying, go to somebody else's department. Go and look at their perspective and what they're dealing with. And you can quickly identify gaps when you do that. When you immerse yourself in someone else's reality, you can quickly identify exactly what they're doing and how they do it. Sometimes you do find the solution if they do have a challenge. But at the end of the day, it's just changing that perspective. And that's one of the key things that I tell my entrepreneurs at our council as well. Just getting up, instead of just driving and hustling business, just get up and get out there. Whether you go and support a local cause, or just go hang out with some people that are not even within your particular industry. Just go and listen and change the perspective of where you're coming from. That approach changes just by 10%. Everything else kind of changes as well. So I love that you're giving that advice there, Steph. It's awesome. All right, I see that we've got Cassidy saying something. Let's just put it up onto the screen so you can have a look as well. Thanks for watching, Cassidy. A warm welcome to you. Fantastic point with regards to cash incentives. I love incentives to focus on wealth and growth. Okay, again, that is one element that we were saying that Steph was mentioning there with regards to incentive, but there's so many multi-layers and levels that you can actually use when it comes to incentives. It doesn't solely have to focus on the monetary side there as well. I know that when I first started my career in marketing and sales, one of the key factors there is that so many conversions would bring me X amount, and I normally would write my own check with regards to that. And I had it at such a tweak that, I had 80% conversion on everything. So I was a high flyer. I knew that I could turn that. But, the money incentive, like you said, Steph, you get money in and go out because there's always something that you've got to buy. So, you actually fulfilling nothing at the end of the day, because you're just chasing after the numbers. And that's not worth living. It doesn't have purpose. It doesn't have passion. So that's something else that we have to consider as well. All right, so thanks for watching. You have been watching Drive the Business live stream. We're coming near to the end of the show, and as always, it's been such an inspiration today. And Steph, you've actually given a lot of motivation, something to inspire us. Well, you've spoken a lot about methodology that you've used as an entrepreneur yourself in your own business, and also in how to actually put that in our own businesses now as we start to go forward. I think that's so essential. A lot of tips that you shared during this actual live stream, things like having habits, having that mental health and well-being, as well as emotional, look at your environment, looking after your staff and their extended families as well, only shows and actually kind of reveals exactly the culture of FedGroup and how you are maintaining your staff during a period as well. The other things that I love that you've said is fail. The best part of learning is failing. And when you're failing forward, this should be 80% of it, that 80% fail. You can only change for the better, right? And you can quickly identify challenges and create solutions around them. That creates a win-win at the end of the day as well. If you have watched the video and this is of high value to you, please go ahead and share it. You can either go ahead and tag people down below, and all you've got to do is tag their name down below in the comment section. If you don't want to do that on the public forum, then please go ahead and share it. There's a share icon at the bottom right-hand corner just below this video, both on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And you can go and share it either via Messenger or email, or else share it directly to your wall. And let other entrepreneurs, business owners, as well as influencers know the methodology that Steph has shared with us this morning when it comes to investing in your staff and your team. And yeah, ultimately it grows your business, it grows your profits, which is so, so important as well. Okay, we're coming to the last part of the actual show. Before I go, let's just pop on Grant. Grant Field has said something. Let's put his comments up on the screen. Such a good-looking leader. Whoa. Fantastic. I'll take that. Thanks, Grant. Thanks so very much. Yeah, that's your internal team. You can see you guys like to have fun. The fact that Grant here supporting you, I think speaks volumes when it comes to FedGroup. So that's awesome. All right, so before we go, I normally ask my guest to actually share some nuggets of wisdom and something that they want to leave the audience thinking about for the next couple of days. So Stefano, I ask you, what would be your best advice when it comes to looking after your staff? Can you just sum it up for us and share some wisdom?
I think two things. The one's all about safety. If our staff feel safe and we can push them out into an uncomfortable situation, they'll grow. So we want our staff to feel safe and to trust us, and we have to build that environment. I think that's so, so important. And then once they feel safe, make them unsafe, and then make them feel safe all over again. And I think that's hugely important. And I think, talk to people. Get out there. I tell my sons, wherever you are, try and speak to people. Ask them what they're doing, show interest in them, understand, what they need, where their problems are. And I think that's so important. Is we all locked behind screens. We all, all behind our phones and our laptops and our tablets. And we're losing the ability to talk to people and to engage and to listen. And I think that's so important. So whoever we meet in any industry, whether it's, at our office or at the airport, talk to people, understand their perspective on things. And that's how we learn and that's how we grow. And it's all about growth and moving forward.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so you heard it directly from Steph. Especially when it comes to growing your own business, is first of all, get uncomfortable, yourself as well as your staff. As soon as you get uncomfortable, you can create new opportunities to happen. And not only that, you can actually just guide and mold your team to success as well. And the other thing is connect, talk to people, get their perspective. When you talk to people, other things and ideas start to happen. All right, so it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. And again, if you found any value in this video, please go ahead and share it with your network. I'd really appreciate that. Have a brilliant day further, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Cheers. Bye.